What if someone made a game where all you had to do was push one button just to play? I guess the concept isn't too far-fetched. I mean, if you look at the Atari's controller, it was just the one joystick and the one red button, and they made hundreds of games, possibly thousands. So how could that formula go wrong? So how were things different this time? Well, you didn't have this singular Japanese man spearheading this project. And believe it or not, he actually had the brain to make it work. I'm PT Shark, and this is Remembering Kirby Air Ride. Alright, settle down, class, settle down. I am Professor PT Shark. Thank you for enrolling in the School of Sakurai, and today's lecture is going to be about control. So, if we take a look at Sakurai's previous repertoire, such as Kirby, Super Smash Bros., and Kid Icarus Uprising, what is a common trend that all of these have? Well, they have very simple controls, but deep and intricate gameplay. Let's go ahead and take a look at Kirby. So, Kirby's Dreamland is a very simple game, right? It's a 2-button game. A for jump, B for inhale. Kirby's Dreamland actually did not have any copy abilities. That didn't come until Kirby's Adventure. Now this expanded the game and its mechanics in a variety of ways, such as combat, puzzle solving, but most importantly, cute designs. Come on, you gotta love these. Let's go ahead and take a look at Super Smash Bros. Now, Super Smash Bros. Is essentially a 3-button fighting game, right? You got A for attack, you got B for special, and you also have a shield button. And that's pretty much it. But if you play Smash Bros., you should know that it's still not a simple game, right? And this is because of the interesting character toolkits. Just take a look at Minecraft Steve. I mean, you gonna tell me that guy's simple to use? Also, wacky stage mechanics and stage gimmicks. I mean, you know how it is. Those smashers don't like to use them, but they're still there anyway. And randomly generated items throughout the match. So this pretty much created a simple but deep game exactly how Sakurai had envisioned it. So we can pretty much see what Sakurai's vision is. For each game that he develops, he poses the question, how do we make games more accessible to everyone? If we look at something like Super Metroid, it has way too many buttons and way too many inputs. I mean, I think in Super Metroid every button does something in that game on the controller. The controls are not simple, so not everyone can enjoy something as Super Metroid. And this came to be after he destroyed someone's girlfriend at King of Fighters in the arcade. So he pretty much came up with this question. So he made it his personal mission to make games easier to pick up and play for everyone. So if we continue to look at Sakurai's vision, he pretty much followed through with it. If you look at the way his games are designed, it's pretty much anyone can pick up and play. Simple controls make games easier to understand, you know, for the casual players. And interesting mechanics make gameplay deep, but still fun. If you look at Smash Bros., I mean, it has a huge competitive scene. And, you know, these gamers spend hundreds, if not thousands of hours just mastering this game. And with this, he sought out to make a 1-button game. A game that uses one button. That being Kirby Air Ride. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much all the time we have for today's lecture. Thank you for attending. Now, your homework for today is to find a game that uses no buttons. Can you think of any? And that's pretty much it. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching, and you have a good day. God bless you. So, when it came time to make Kirby Air Ride, you know this man had to make controls as simple as possible. So, he turned it into a 1-button racing game. Yeah, only thing you need to play this game is the joystick and this big green A button on the controller. It still kind of blows my mind how he managed to design the controls for the game and still make it fun. So in case you haven't played it, the A button functions as the stop, drift, inhale, interact, boost, all in one. They managed to make this work because of the simultaneous brake and charge. You hit the brake, but at the same time you charge up a small boost when you let go of it. But as Sakurai put it in this neat little video, you don't really want to do this on straightaways because you actually suffer a net loss of speed. You mainly want to use it on turns as a drift. Pressing the A button will also let you use your copy ability, which is kind of an interesting take on the whole item aspect of kart racers. There's still items, but it's not a one-use kind of deal. You keep your copy ability for a couple of seconds and then it runs out. And the neat thing is, they're all Kirby abilities that you know and love, at least if you're familiar with the Kirby series. I'd have to say the electric shock ability is probably my favorite because you have the option to choose which level of shock you want to use by shaking the control stick all around. The bird one's pretty cool as well. I like how free you feel when you're flying. And just in case you don't have a copy ability on you when you have the perfect chance to attack, you can waggle the stick left and right to do a spin attack. But be careful because it does slow you down. And I have to admit, sometimes I accidentally get the spin attack when I'm just trying to drift, and it can be kind of annoying. I think they should have made it a little bit harder for you to get the spin attack. Maybe you have to go left, right. Sometimes I'm just doing left, left, and I'll get it. But anyway, that's pretty much it for all the controls. They're pretty simple, huh? Now we can focus a little bit more on the mechanics, and they're simple as well. There's certain panels that you can push A on in order to do a boost or open a door or turn the lights on.
Haha, here's the problem. Too many toes.
There's also two states in this game, being driving on the ground and driving on the air. Grind rails also exist, and for the most part they help you go faster, but with certain vehicles you actually don't gain that much speed. And that's pretty much all you have to understand about this game in order to master it. Alright, seems simple enough, just gotta push A to do everything basically. But there's an extra layer of depth here that I haven't mentioned yet, that being vehicles. Not all vehicles are created equally. In fact, they all have their own unique little mechanics and gimmicks to them that give it their own unique personality.
Yes! Yeah! Yeah, mother...
What the heck is this? It always reminded me of those stereotypical Chinese takeout boxes. Well, because it kind of looks like it, at least to me. But it's actually called the Wagon Star, which is based off of those cute little Japanese trucks. I'm sure you know the ones I'm talking about. So the unique thing about this vehicle is that it doesn't boost at all. Overall, it has a decent speed and good turning. But yeah, the no boosting is kind of interesting because you can already see that the vehicles mess with the basic control scheme, and they all have their own little twist to them. Next is my personal favorite, the Swerve Star. This one, well, it can't turn at all. It has an incredibly high speed, but in order for you to make even the most minuscule turn, you have to stop. You have to push A and stop. But the acceleration on this thing is insane. It pretty much goes from 0 to 31 in a matter of half a second. It also has a boost, but I find that oftentimes it's not really worth it to actually try to use the boost. You're better off just trying to keep the speed and the pace of the game constant. The last machine I'll talk about is... oh god, why? The Bulk Star. As one of the developers stated in an interview, the Bulk Star is for pros. But god dang, I mean, why would you want to torture yourself like this? The funny thing is that it's actually one of the fastest vehicles when it does hit its top speed, but good luck getting there. This thing is also a tank. From what I read, it can take a full-on hit of the Hydra and still survive. All of these vehicles have little descriptions to them, but some are incredibly vague. Only has one wheel, control is unorthodox. What? Bro, I don't even know what that means. These other machines don't have any wheels. But what it means to say is, it's the only machine that rides on the ground. so any panels you drive over are automatically activated. Also, it doesn't glide very far, it's more like jumping off of ramps, but the jump speed is really fast. Can't charge up, but it has good points. Okay, what points? There isn't anywhere you can go and check the stats or read a more in-depth description of these vehicles. That's very un-Sakurai-like. One speedy ride, but steering can be tough. Okay, steering can be tough with a bunch of other vehicles as well. But yeah, the vehicle diversity in this game is pretty insane. There's enough here to keep you interested the entire time, no matter which vehicle you choose. And the designs on all of them are really cool. The vehicles are a huge part of this game, and they help keep it interesting and fresh. To me, it's fun to take on the challenge of mastering each vehicle and figuring out which one's better for what situation, especially given all the unique courses and modes in this game. And speaking of modes, Air Ride. So this is the standard racing mode. I'm sure you're very familiar with it. In this mode, you pick whichever vehicle you want and race through Kirby inspired courses. I don't believe any of these courses come directly from any game, but it kind of feels like they do. Anyway, you can choose to race against the computer, your friends, or by yourself. Along the track, you'll find various enemies that'll help you out if you copy their abilities. Now, I think playing against others is fun and all, but the real fun for me came when I was doing the time attack mode and the free run mode. I could not put the controller down when I was playing these modes. I think when you boil it down, the gameplay and the design of these courses just meld together so well that it creates this interesting feedback loop of gameplay to the point where you don't even realize that 3 hours have gone by. See, in time attack, the main mechanic is that attacking enemies will make you go faster. It's a simple idea, but oh man, it really spices this game up, believe me. I love how you have to find the most optimal route to take, the most optimal way to attack enemies, finding the perfect spot to drift. Sometimes you just find the perfect combination of power up and enemy placements, and you just go really fast and it feels so satisfying. These courses are all crafted masterfully, each enemy placed purposefully, each turn designed with a greater image in mind. This is where the depth comes in. This is where I think players can spend hundreds of hours learning every little aspect of the game, and sometimes it kind of feels like you're having a direct conversation with Sakurai. He's like, I'm gonna put these enemies right here so you can chain these attacks and you can go really fast on this one part. And I'm just like, yes, please, thank you. Free run is entertaining as well. You essentially race against your fastest ghost in order to complete the fastest lap possible. The game never ends, you can essentially keep playing forever and ever, hence the name Free Run. But if you've noticed, there are no enemies placed on the course, so it really just boils down to how well you can drive. I guess if you're not that interested in competing against yourself and constantly trying to improve, then that's fine, but these modes may not necessarily be for you. Not me though, I'm built different. I really enjoy trying to beat my own records as well as the challenges on the checklist. Oh, and I haven't even brought that up. Essentially, each mode has a little checklist. Imagine it pretty much being an achievement system. It's a pretty genius idea because it encourages the player to try doing new things, and as a reward, you get to unlock really cool stuff. We later saw this style of unlocking system in Kid Icarus Uprising, you know, that grid kind of thing where if you unlock one, it lets you see the challenges around it, and you also get a couple of free passes as well. Wait, this was also in Brawl. But yeah, I think having challenges definitely brings a new layer of depth to the game that some players never even get to experience. And it's also really neat that you get to unlock stuff whenever you do complete that. Brown Kirby. Alright, on to the next mode. City Trial. Boy, do I have a lot to say about this mode. This, in my opinion, is the best mode in Kirby Air Ride. It's unbelievably fun and it's such a unique idea, especially for the time. I still think about this mode in my current life, even though I used to play this game when I was, like in middle school, elementary school? Alright, so a little rundown of how this mode works. You're essentially dropped into this giant city, and you have 5 minutes to scavenge and collect as many little stat points as you can, or vehicles. These collectibles not only help you in this main area, but after the 5 minutes are up, all players go into a minigame where their machines and stats carry over. Every now and then there'll be certain events that come in and shake up the gameplay, boss battles, bouncy items, the palace is open, a fog happens, a lot of stuff can happen. If this sounds vaguely familiar, well, you've probably played Smash Run on Smash for 3DS. Sadly, I'd like to view City Trial as sort of a beta for Smash Run because, let's face it, way more people played Smash for 3DS than Kirby Air Ride. Even though I think it's dumb that you couldn't interact with other players in Smash Run. I always found that slightly annoying. But yeah, this formula is genius. There's always something going on. There's so many things to interact with and so many objectives to do. It's really fun going around and collecting all the little stat points, and it's also satisfying to feel those effects in real time. Before you know it, you'll be jumping and flying and crashing all over the place. And when it's time to play the minigame at the end, it can be just pure chaos. But the nice thing is that this mode rewards skillful players, both the first half and the second half. You could be not doing so well in collecting stat points or finding a vehicle, but whenever you hit that minigame at the end, if you're skilled enough, you can still snag the #1 victory royale. Just wiped out Tomato Town. It also kind of feels like playing a modern game. I can point to several examples that feel like they have similar gameplay designs. Fortnite.
Yeah.
There's this big map and you're off minding your own business, scavenging, collecting whatever you need, and you see some guy you want to destroy, so you could chase after him and kill him. Breath of the Wild as well. Yeah, you could be doing something again on a big map, and suddenly you remember something and you go and do that, but while you're on your way there you see something else shiny and get distracted, and then, oh, what's this little thing? And you just kind of keep going around and around in circles. Only difference is time is limited in this one. I promise I'm not just pulling your leg. I genuinely think Kirby Air Ride's city trial formula was ahead of its time. If anything, it might have been held back a little by hardware limitations, because I think if the map was a little bit bigger and you were more players were allowed on the map, then it would have been even more amazing. But we have to look at it for what it is, not what it could have been. And well, for what it is, it's still a really good mode. The city is also very well designed. Each section is very memorable, and they all have their own unique little assets. Like over here, there's a water wheel. You can also go under the city, going inside the volcano. When you go inside, it's a bunch of diamonds, I believe. Yeah, I actually can't tell. Hey look, Wispy Woods is here. And a random replica of the city? Huh. All of these sections feel very well interconnected, so if there's somewhere you need to get to, you can get there pretty quickly, especially by taking these rails over here. I guess you could say it's kind of like a highway, like a big loop going around a city, if any geographers know anything about there. Fun fact, I actually have a degree in geography. Around the city you can also find these uniquely colored boxes. The blue ones usually drop stat points, the red ones drop copy abilities, or sometimes pieces of the legendary machines, be it the Hydra or the Dragoon. And if you collect all 3 of the legendary Air Ride machine pieces, you can assemble the Hydra or the Dragoon.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
GG, you win. Because the Hydra is very fast and very offensive, but the Dragoon is amazing at flying and is pretty fast on the ground. Also, you know that song Legendary Air Ride Machine from Smash Brothers? I'm sure you've heard it, you know which one I'm talking about. That's where that comes from. Oh, and also the item in Smash Brothers. But yeah, this is a really rare occurrence, and it is certainly known that it's rare because whenever you do collect it, the lighting dims, the music changes, and it's just very dramatic. It's not guaranteed every match, so you have to get really lucky. I remember being a kid, and when it would happen, when you actually collected it, it felt like it was like even more rare than seeing a rainbow or something, you know? It was more rare than like a 4-leaf clover. so actually collecting all of the pieces is really exciting. Oh, and the green boxes, forgot I was talking about that, drop offensive items that aren't necessarily copy abilities. It's more so like the cannon or like a Gordo or like a bomb. Some of the other events are also too cool to not talk about. For example, sometimes Dynablade appears and you have to defeat her in order to make her drop a bunch of stat points. Sometimes all the players will just go really fast for no reason and it's just pure chaos. Or sometimes a UFO will appear. Whoa. And one of my favorite stadium minigames is the versus King DDD one, because in that one it's not necessarily competitive. Actually, all 4 players have to work together in order to defeat him, and it's just a unique little twist that I didn't really see coming. I still get amazed by this mode because it feels like endless combinations can happen. You're never really sure what'll happen next, but no matter what, you're always ready for it. No 2 matches are the same, and if you remember, that was actually one of Sakurai's initial design philosophies for Super Smash Bros. He never wanted any 2 matches to play out the same, even if it was on the same stage with the same characters. That's why he added RNG elements such as items and stage gimmicks, and it's really awesome to think back on how he was able to achieve this not only in Smash, but also in this Kirby game about racing around on different star machines. I like that this mode gives players the creative freedom to formulate their own plan and stick by it. And in the end, it's just may the best man win, honestly. But yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about City Trial without sounding too redundant, I guess. I really love this mode, and I honestly think it's one of the GameCube's highlights. And now, onto whatever this thing is. Top Ride. I have to admit, this mode is, in my eyes, the weakest of all the other modes, but it's still pretty fun with other people. I don't think I really enjoyed it as much by myself. Essentially, you're still riding the air machines, but now it's from a top-down point of view. The courses are significantly smaller, but they're all based on the other courses from Air Ride, which is pretty cool. They have unique little assets to them and items you can use, but remember all that depth and intricate mechanics and gameplay that the other 2 modes were building upon? Yeah, you can pretty much throw that out the window. There's no enemies along the track, no different vehicles, minimal shortcuts. It's a cute mode. It can get kinda chaotic sometimes, but I mean at most times it just feels like a little Mario Party minigame. And I think that's pretty much what they were going for, just to include a smaller game mode that kind of rounds out the entire game package. And you know, I think it's fine for that. I'm glad it's here as opposed to it not being here. Call me crazy, but I don't think that this is the mode that many people think about when they hear the name Kirby Air Ride. I'm sure for the most part they think of City Trial or the Air Ride mode. This mode honestly just doesn't impress me that much. It's not really doing anything unique or different. Even for the time when this game came out, 2003, you know, there's been plenty of other games similar to this mode. So that's why I'm choosing not to say that much about it, because I don't know, I just don't feel that strongly toward it. Something I haven't mentioned yet is the fact that you can actually unlock King DDD and Meta Knight. I think that's a really neat addition to the game. It kind of feels like a little Easter egg. DDD is essentially just a Kirby on the bike with a hammer, and he's also pretty tanky. Meta Knight though is essentially the flight power-up and the sword power-up at the same time. That's really cool. However, the flight power-up can't boost after a charge, which means that Meta Knight can't get a boost, but that's fine. Bonus points for being an edgelord. You can play as these 2 in the Air Ride mode as well as City Trial, but for City Trial it's only the free run version. While I have your attention, let me just say that the music in this game is banging. Have you heard that epic bass line? A lot of Smash's iconic Kirby tracks come from this game as well. Legendary Air Ride Machine, Checker Nights, Frozen Hillside. I know City Trial got remixed as well for Ultimate. These are all amazing pieces of music that I had just kind of forgotten about for some reason. That concept isn't too unfamiliar though, as I feel like a lot of people have forgotten about this game already, which is kind of weird because the game's only 19 years old and I don't see that many people talking about it online. Mainly when I do, people just say it's good, but they don't really go in depth as to why it's good or talk about anything else. It's mostly just like, hey, Kirby Air Ride was a thing, you know? I think that's just the state of gaming though, because new games come out and push out the old games, and those games, even if they're great, they get forgotten about. They fall into the cracks of time, they fade away into obscurity, and people just don't really talk about it again. People forget about them. And it makes me kind of sad to think about, because this was Sakurai's last Kirby game. This was the last Kirby game that Sakurai, the creator of Kirby, directed 19 years ago. Yeah, this was actually the last Sakurai directed Kirby game. It's not because his contract was up or anything. He left because he wanted to. And his reasoning being he was tired of the constant pressure to sequelize every game. Bruh, really? I mean, I kind of agree with him that in the gaming community there is an over-sequelization of games, but I find it interesting how he said that about Kirby, and look at what he did with Smash Brothers. Look at how many more Smash Brothers games he made. Whatever. I think this was an excellent send-off to the Kirby series, you know, from Sakurai, because it really nails one of his core design philosophies, being anyone can pick up and play this game, and anyone can pick up and understand the controls right off the bat. If I was him, I'd be proud to have this game on my resume, and I'm sure he is. I have to say, the series has done rather well without him, if I'm being honest. I can't name a single bad Kirby game after this one. Shoutouts to the new Kirby team, because even though he left, they've held up the series rather well. But with that being said, I think they haven't tried as many things as Sakurai has when he was in charge of the Kirby series. You know, there's a lot of really kind of wacky and unique games. Kirby felt like you could really mold it to be whatever you wanted it to be. It's a golf game, it's a racing game, it's a platformer. I mean, it was just so malleable. And now I don't really think they've done much. I mean, you have like that one 3DS 3D Kirby game, and you also have like the Kirby Fighters 2 or whatever, the one that just came out. Or there's one on Switch, isn't there? I don't even know. Yeah, but anyway, this game is one of my top GameCube games of all time, in case you can't tell. I have a lot of love for this game and a lot of fond memories with it. I used to play this game with my cousin. I remember when it first came out, we would play on the GameCube and we would just play City Trial all the time. And I remember one time his friend came over and brought an action replay, and we were going bonkers playing with the Dragoon. We all had the Dragoon. I also remember when I was in middle school, which was probably like 2011-ish, I picked it up again, and my friend and I would just grind City Trial for no reason. We'd play for hours and hours. And even now, this year, when I replayed the game for this video, I just had so much fun with it. I could not put it down. There was one weekend where I just pretty much played it the whole weekend. I think a lot of people will find themselves pleasantly surprised if they went back and played this game. I kind of wish they would release it on Nintendo Switch. I don't even want like a remake, you know, a remaster would be fine. Keep the same graphics or whatever, just upscale the resolution a little bit, add widescreen support, add a couple more character slots for City Trial, and obviously make it online, because, you know, it'd be kind of pointless if it wasn't. I can really see it being popular, especially with today's genre of games, you know, kind of like the Battle Royale type thing. You know how I mentioned earlier that it's kind of like Fortnite a little bit. But I don't know. For now, the game's just gonna have to stay in the past. And that's fine, you know, I don't really have an issue with it. I just don't want people to forget about this game. And that's kind of tough because Nintendo's not exactly known for their video game conservation efforts, so that's pretty much why I made this video. Anyway, I've been PT Shark. If you actually watched all the way through, thank you so much. You're a legend. Consider subscribing if you like listening to me incoherently ramble about games that I like, as I plan to do that more in the future. Real quick, I want to say that I get a lot of like these kinds of comments, and while I appreciate it, I know it's a compliment. The truth is that like I'm really bad at self-promotion. I suck at promoting my videos. That's why they don't get a lot of views, and that's fine, you know. But it would be nice if, you know, people could help me out. You could like the video, if you could comment on it, and if you could share it, that would be amazing, because, you know, it would be nice to get more views. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. God bless you, take care, have a good one.